Dr. Pfeiffer, how have you both used and supported libraries and instructional resources in the past?
You know, that my answer to a question like that really extends over my career at St. Louis Community College. When I was a faculty member, I made great use of the library myself and with my students. At the time at Florissant Valley, each of us had a library liaison. I don't know whether that's how you do that at Meramec. So we all had a reference librarian, a staff person in the library that we could go to because I'm assigning this particular paper, or I need students to be able to come over and see where they can find this kind of information. So I've used the library simply from the standpoint of trying to encourage my students to understand the tremendous resource that is available in that building, both because of the books and the periodicals that are there, but more importantly, the people that are there that can help you figure out how to move through a process, how to do research, how to look for information. It's not just walk into the library and say, here's my topic, what do I do? But there are people there that can begin to help you ask the questions so that you can put your own plan in place. When I was the campus executive dean at Florissant Valley, the library actually reported to me. And during the time that I was in charge of the library, we began a series of meetings with the reference librarians and the staff in the library about what the library of the future should look like. It was apparent that our students were not using the library the same way. That was the really beginning sort of people thinking about the fact that somewhere along the way these resources are going to change. It's not going to be all about books for the future. There's going to be a lot of technology that we need to think about. So we spent several really good sessions thinking about what do we want our library to be, and decided that one of the things that we wanted was for it to become the center, and at Flo Valley it is sort of physically the center of the campus, but in many ways we wanted it to become the center of the campus. It is a place of learning. So for those of you who have been to Flo Valley, you know that over the last probably 7 to 8 years, we have begun to make some pretty dramatic change inside the physical space in our library. All of that really started from that work that those librarians and the rest of the staff in that group did, now at this stage maybe 10 to 12 years ago, as we talked about how to better create space. One of the things I think that shows is that you've got to have some perseverance. And you've got to kind of figure out where it is you want to go, and then you have to keep taking the steps to get you there. Because we don't really have the resources, and when I say resources, I mean financial resources, the time from people, the time period. We don't have all of the physical spaces that allow us to just decide to do something, and then it's done. So you have to kind of keep the vision out in front of you and keep moving in the direction of making the changes that you want to make. And I'm very pleased with where we are today in terms of the spaces that we have available, the way that we have, we've moved some things around, we've made public meeting spaces available, study spaces available in the library, reconfigured where our reference librarians will be housed. We're not done yet. We're getting there.
Please comment on distance learning at STLCC and what you would do to lead and support this initiative.
Figuring out for sure where we're going to be on distance learning, I think, is one of the big agenda items for the college. A number of years ago, I stepped outside of my comfort zone and co-chaired what was the first task force at St. Louis Community College to look at distance learning. And I say stepped outside of my comfort zone because as a faculty member, I had never taught in a distance way, and I really didn't know much about it. And I was co-chairing this committee with a faculty member who did know quite a bit about it at the time. So we spent a year studying about distance learning and what was happening across the country and sort of what the critical questions were and how we could go about putting a plan in place. Fortunately or unfortunately, I think you could go back and read our report and realize that in some instances we have not moved very far ahead. A lot of the same questions, as far as I'm concerned, sort of still sit out there. So I think we have some work to do. Distance learning offers us the opportunity to grow our enrollment in a different way, and probably in a way that is going to be critical to us if we're going to keep our enrollment numbers up. However, just growing our distance learning stable of courses is not the answer. Early in distance learning, I think anybody just about could put a course out there, people would sign up for it, and it wasn't a big deal. But today, anybody who puts a distance learning course out there is competing with a wide variety of courses from a lot of different institutions. And so we need to get and I realize that we're in the process of doing all of these things, so I don't want it to sound like we have done nothing. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But we have work to do to actually come to some agreement in this institution about the fact that this is a part of our business. And we need to be doing this in the very best possible way that we can. We need to be putting a quality product out there. We need faculty who have been given the opportunity to learn, to take advantage of professional development that really gives them the chance to be the best, to be as good at distance as they are in the classroom. And for most people, I think that means that they need the opportunity to work with folks who have had some experience with it. So I'm very committed to the idea that there needs to be training for faculty who are going to teach at a distance. And I think that is true for people who are teaching at a distance right now and have not had the professional development. So I think we have some backing up to do. I think we are fools if we expect that we can put distance learning courses out there and we don't in some way talk about how those courses are going to be evaluated and assessed. So those are major issues that are before us. We have to get together. The administrators and faculty have to get together to figure out how we're going to do all of this so that our students are getting the best possible product that they can get and that we all know it. Those old questions about what is it that students need to learn and how do we know that they got that information need to apply to distance learning too. Dr. Dare, I think, is working on putting together a good plan for distance learning. We're looking at identifying leadership for distance learning at St. Louis Community College, because I think one of the things that we've learned about that and some other things is that you can't expect it to move forward if it's one of 150 things that somebody's trying to do. So we need somebody who wakes up every day and thinks about this issue and puts the issues in front of us and then leads us through the conversations about how is it that this is also going to be excellence in teaching and learning.
Dr. Pfeiffer, what do you read for classroom?
Right now I am reading, this will show you I'm a little behind. I have a list. I'm reading Cutting for Stone. Anybody read Cutting for Stone? It's the story of the twins in Ethiopia, born in Ethiopia, and sort of their life. I'm about halfway through it, so I don't really know what happens in this. So I'm reading Cutting for Stone. I have a Kindle. So next on my Kindle is The Room, which has been recommended to me by a number of people, and I don't really know what that's all about. I just finished the Girls series, you know, the girl with the dragon tattoo and the girl in the hornet's nest, which all of those I really enjoyed once I could manage my way through the names. I find reading with the street names and the people names and all of those things in Swedish were very challenging. So, you know, I try to keep 2 or 3 things sort of on my Kindle and just move from one to the next. I just finished reading Grassroots School Reform, which is a new book by Kent Farnsworth, who was my dissertation advisor. A very insightful book, one I would recommend to all of you as you think about K through 12 education and our relationship with K through 12 and the challenges that we all face. And then kind of the next book I have in that stack is the new Bowman book that's focused on reframing academic leadership.